go to outdoors, go to school, and see what's happening. Most of the time when the child has to go outdoors, he is in the phone. When he has to engage with children, he engages through phone. When he has to sleep, he is in the phone. That is the problem. The net, the digital natives, we call them, children born after the invention of net, are different. Their brains are different. Their mind is different. In fact, series of books are coming now. The change in brain and mind to these digital natives. We are digital immigrants. It came to us later on, and that's why we have a conflict. The digital children are entirely different. Their behavior is different. I think, Kaisar, you talk how many problems you see in children due to net. I wouldn't call it misuse, overuse, but the problems they get, they are entirely different. I think that makes your point. Children using net.
I think we've not seen this beautiful poster here. It says digital addiction, an invisible pandemic. When we talk about any viral illnesses, everybody is on toes. Be the human metapneumovirus, Naveed is on his toes. The government is there, everybody is there. But this invisible pandemic, which is consuming our population, is huge. There is no doubt about usage of internet or digital devices so far as our needs are there. That's up to our needs. But human beings can control their feelings, can control their limits. So 0 to 18 years of age, that's the most vulnerable period of our lives. We see children in even 2 months, 4 months, 6 months who just concentrate on their phones. So the main malice that we are seeing now with this phone, the positive things are there, is that their minds are directly affected. They have started losing their eye-to-eye contact. Their parents are on two sides and the phone is just in front of them. They think that their parents are all like two electric poles and their parents are now their phones. This is affecting their psyche. We see a lot of children now, what we call as attention deficit hyperactivity disorders. We see a lot of them. We see hyperactivity in these children. We see these children tossing their heads, and even if there is a gathering, we hardly see these children interact with them. So that is one, they have lost their social contact, is already gone. That is one aspect of it. Second is the physical. I don't see any organ of the body which is not affected. Every organ of the body is affected with this. Now, what would be the interventions? How do we intervene in such a situation? The use is there. We cannot take it out from our lives. As Nasir said, it's absolutely right. But one is use and other is overuse and misuse. That is where we have to draw the lines. Now, when children come and their parents come, their parents always start abusing their children in front. Say that, see, he's using the phone and please tell him something. Now, how can we correct this? The correction here would be to have parental de-addiction rather than the children being affected. As Zafar Sahab rightly said, that what I do, I smoke in front of my child and then they tell him don't smoke. How is it possible? So family interventions are there which need to be done. Professor Sushil Sahab rightly said about a very important point, like social gatherings. When a baby is born, there is a social milieu. So that is what we have to bring back. We cannot be defeatists that AI is ruling our lives, Chat GPT is ruling our lives, and then we just take the corner. If you want your progeny to grow, to be human beings, then we have to have interventions. Cognitive-based interventions are very important. Develop that social milieu. That social milieu still exists here. That means at least talk to have a session, come together, let the parents come together, talk, take their phones off, and intervene, talking with each other. That is one way of opening the communications. We fortunately have aunts, we have our own grandmothers, other people all around us. So use that time, cut that time, and let us interact with each other. Let's talk with each other. Hardly in these situations we hardly talk with each other. So family-based interventions can help in removing some of these malices. Second is in schools. Now in schools, we have become internet learners. COVID-19 has completely changed our lives. So we can bring it back, because this learning which you are seeing, children seeing these phones and then going on with these videos like Coco Melon and other things, their parents think that they have become great learners, but it is a passive way of learning which hardly goes in the mind for a few days, months, and then you lose it. So one is family-based interventions which we can socialize more, meet more, talk more. Even in marriage parties, you will see that majority of people are just stuck to the phones, hardly talking to each other. So that is one. Second is cognitive behavior. That is another thing which we can introduce. Third is killing poison with poison. That means through internet learning, through internet websites, we can just cause a reversal of this. This would be another way of tackling the situation. And then the administration, the government, we have always this cybersecurity and other things. Why can't we use it for just filtering the things, filtering the data, or filtering those malices which have just affected our minds? Then there is another internet gaming disorder, which is now a term used by American Psychiatric Society, where people are stuck to these games. Is it necessary? It's not necessary. So how do we I think schools are institutions where we can introduce it, where there can be strict instructions for that. So that is the part where we can, schools can play a very important role. We talk about drug addiction. I think it is much more than that. So we have to tackle this addiction as we are tackling the drug addiction. So I think interventions are there. We have to ponder over it, we have to think over it and find solutions. Solutions will always be there to the man-made problems which we have created ourselves. So let us use this for our knowledge, not for purposes. And parental addiction can be controlled rather than addiction by children. Thank you.
I think in order to have a structured conversation and outcome of this deliberation, which is very important from the purpose, the object of our being together here, let us clear the deck first, basics. I think we all agree this internet has come to stay. There is nobody suggesting that we should get rid of it. Even if somebody suggests that, it is impossible to get rid of it. This is what I understand. Is that the correct conclusion? Right? Now, second thing is use of this internet. And when we're using the word use, of course the devices are there to help you to use it. Now, use in generally in the population, irrespective of the age, since the child is birth until he dies, use of it. For that, you find any problem in that? One problem which the doctors point out is in the physical sense. The pains, the eyesights, the other things, use of spectacles at a very young age, so on and so forth. That is something the immediate cause of excessively using these devices or using large screen time. We all understand that and doctors are saying so. Now the third part of it is that does it affect the mind of the child in this sense? So when I'm saying mind of the child, I don't mean in the sense of acquiring more knowledge and information which is available and which is good for him. I'm talking in terms of the values which our society has. Does it expose and make him vulnerable to such kind of values which are not generally acceptable to the society in which our children live? So therefore we are talking of use of this phone in that context as well. Third thing is that age groups. Now whether elders should also use it or not, they are grown-ups, they are matured enough, or they are not informed at all, it's a negative use. So they also use it in a very casual manner. If they have nothing else to do, they will use it. Their communication with their own better half perhaps has gone down. Their own communication with relations have gone down. Perhaps they don't know what to communicate anymore. So therefore they spend most of the time in using these devices. They are at pleasure. There is nothing against speaking to them. It is just like a dog. Why do people love dogs? If you do anything to a dog, he is still loyal to you. So a lot of people love that. But if you treat another human being the same way, he's bound to react. There is bound to be a scuffle and fight. So some people psychologically use the dogs because they are so faithful to you, even if you kick them out, he will come back. Anyway, so you have to see this among elders as well. Our society is slightly growing up society as well. So the second thing which I would like to have your views on this, everything said and done. What is it that needs to be done is extremely important. If you agree, it is adverse consequences. We'd like to have your views on that A, B, C in a concrete form, that this needs to be done, this which is practicable, implementable, and which can be distributed among the people. Please do not do this. The experts have said so. Reduce your own, elders, reduce your own screen time. Children in particular, reduce the time. Let the children play outside. Don't let them sit and develop sedentary habit on a chair or in your bed and then watch this damn thing for maybe 24 hours. How it affects the sleep, the quality of the sleep goes down. Many other things happen. These doctors, of course, have been telling us about this. It's negative impact on the mind. So we'd like to have your views on how best you talk of control. Please also go a step further. How to control it? Either it is self-restraint, self-discipline. If you say that, we need to educate each and every parent in Jammu and Kashmir to tell him, please don't use it in a manner in which you are using it at all. Second thing, is there any solution other than that? By only appealing to the senses of the parents. Do you think the governments can do that? Do you think you can do that as a civil society? Or do you think alternatives need to be provided to the children where they can go out and play so that they don't spend much of their time watching this damn thing? They may play outside and go out for a walk or have a chat, real chat, not this chat. Then also it is impact on education. As I told you the other day also, they will forget writing letters to each other. With the kind of language they use now on these chats and on these systems, they're losing their language as well. I said the other day, there will be no letters of Nehru to Mrs. Gandhi, a published document. There will be nothing like that. And I also said that there will be no Iqbals and Ghalibs anymore in our society with this kind having come up. Though there is enormous information available. But we don't use it. There is no depth, it is superficiality. There is no depth coming up in this. So you think these are matters of concern and they are not relevant anymore for us. Let there be no Ghalibs, let there be no Iqbal. What happens to the world? The world will still survive. Let there not be great philosopher. The world will still survive. Either that is the view, or second is no, the life has a meaning. The life has a depth. The life You have to give purpose to the life. Your birth is not by chance. So your vision has to be different if you are really interested in subjects like this. Otherwise, superficially, today we say their morals may get spoiled. Maybe this is normal after 10 or 20 years. A man may not marry another woman. As in the West, a man is marrying the man, which was unthinkable maybe 20, 30 years before. So therefore, it is, our normal is this, because possibly we belong to old school. So therefore, these are our normals. We will be wasting our time. Maybe this is the new normal after 20 years. People may not marry at all. You stay together and then you don't like him, she doesn't like you, kick out of the way, he goes his own way. One doesn't know that. But we are here only discussing as on today. We'd like to give good education to our children. We'd like to give good moral education to them. We'd like to induce some values into them and fight for those values, resist the onslaught on those values. Goodness of life, kindness of life, humanity, which are so important, respect for elders, parents. All these things have been there for times immemorial. And even the old scriptures also insist on that. So therefore, what I'm feeling is, if we think that, yes, this is something the society generally should aspire for, and this is very important for the health of the society, then obviously some solution will have to be found. We can't leave it unarrested. We can't leave it grow in the manner as it is. So we all have a role to play. So I'm requesting all of you one by one, pass on the mic. Please tell us, in your opinion, what is the solution of regulation, of containing? The question first is this only, that, as I said, we are aware of the fact it has to stay. We cannot control it. Nor Jammu Kashmir, nor governments, nobody can, countries cannot control it. It is there, one. Number two, entire world is using this internet, whether it is ticketing, whether airports, whether buses, whether it is taxis. You got to be acquainted with this kind of a system, with digitalization is number two. The government offices are going digitalized, 3. The education is going digitalized, 4. Our courts are also gradually going digitalized, 5. So it has come to stay. You can't do anything without this. So we all have to learn it. But the other side of it is that whether it has a negative impact, and if it has a negative impact, how best we can have some solution that negative impact. So we'd like to have one by one, every gentleman, maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes, that so that we'll then, give it, why we'll disseminate this, that this is what the experts say. This is a very important thing which you will be saying. Please, I'm sure they will say the full sense of responsibility, but which is doable. Don't give us a solution which you cannot ensure. Don't give us a solution which is not doable. Like tell the children not to watch internet at all. Is it doable? I have my doubts. It is doable at all. So therefore, please, my request to all of you is, if you speak for 1 minute each, that we need to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So we'll make a note of it, and of course the secretary will put it in the public domain that this is what needs to be done. This is the opinion of the experts. Please ask.
Thank you, sir. I would like to take advantage of your presence here. Basically, one thing which has caused a lot of concern, and I think many people have come because of that only, is that the damage the screen time does to children, kids and adolescents. Because last time we went through a research study here, a research paper, which said that it causes alterations in the brain, and the gray and white matter volume does not grow in a child. The other thing is that when one uses a mobile phone or a screen, it is said that one uses his limbic brain, whereas the prefrontal cortex, which is used for planning and everything, executive functions, that is not used. So what is its effect on kids and on, of course, adults as well?
Thank you, Nasir. I will be very brief. It changes brain, sir. The circuits in the brain have changed. The way we would memorize older times would be going to the book, repeating it. Problem solution was there. Now there is nothing. This is just information content nowadays there. The children don't go into the solutions of problems because net gives them solutions. The thought process, whenever we have an issue, we read or hear, then it is processed, then you get a solution. Internet breaks this, it's disruptive. The whole memory circuits get disruptive by the presence of net, which becomes very easy, but is very superficial. Cognitive decline, real cognitive decline happens in digital. They may know everything, but they will never solve a problem. The changes are not physical, they are at the circuitry level and the neurotransmitter level. And the changes, as my psychiatrist friend will tell, the changes which happen when they get addicted to it are twofold. It is a normal habit, excessive use. Then you have gambling in it, gaming in it, porno in it. It's a huge. People have said 20% of school-going children are indulging in it. And the biggest problem with this net is it has no control. The parents, how can they control unless you can control it? You are not all the time in the home. You are not all the time with the kid. The content can be changed. Controls can be done at official levels that no school should have the phones till this age group. At even home, then you can keep a morning slot. Even everybody can see half an hour each. And 2-3 hours before sleep, one has to stop it if you have to have a good sleep and good learning. The blue light of the telephone doesn't give you sleep. It keeps you very alert. You may read a book or see a TV, you will feel sleepy. But when you are on the net or with the device, you will never get sleepy.
It kills creativity.
Absolutely. No ghalibs.
Yeah, that's what I said. No ghalibs.
So another point of concern was we had received many suggestions that we need to engage their minds somewhere else. But the problem in that is the rewiring of the reward pathway because of the dopamine overdose. Kids would not enjoy the activities that we think give them this, give them that. Yes.
Sporting activities, trekking, swimming, running, which was very common. It is still being done, I wouldn't say that, but the numbers are decreasing. That's why Dr. said the childhood obesity is huge. The childhood obesity is huge. Virtual autism, every third child has a virtual autism. Dr. Kaiser must be seeing every day hyperactivity children, which are induced. And the negative effect of net in children is huge. It's huge, and it is not a size epidemic or a pandemic of huge magnitude. And we all are busy with our lives. We are not looking at it. The families are nuclear. The families are smaller. The families are distributed all over the world. It is a real problem everywhere. It's a real problem.
Jay, anybody would like to?
That's absolutely right. The cognitive problems that children have. That's why cognitive-based therapies and interventions are important. Family interventions are important. A simple thing which as a family we can do is have an early dinner, say around 7, and then have 2 hours with our children. For the first half an hour, you tell them a story of the past. You and tell them a story. For next half an hour, listen from them. The third half an hour, let it be dedicated to your child playing with you, just games, maybe some building blocks, maybe chess, maybe carom. And the last half an hour, let it be a brisk walk with your child. And all the time you keep talking to the child. The talking and the interventions which have cognitive-based interventions which are there, like there are charts or huge posters which child can appreciate. They can be introduced very early in child's life, which even builds the connections particularly those pictures which you can bring in front of a baby of even 4 to 6 months who's able to turn right and left. These things help the baby to develop these connections. So this is one way of doing it at a very early age. Second is having very simple toys which one can introduce at early age, which develops the cognition and also the grasps, the physical activity that the child can be into very early. And third is then going, when you are talking to a child, you are always giving something to this child. You are giving an information to this child which gets embedded in his brain. While you are watching, child is watching some these YouTube videos, and the parents become very happy because the child starts talking in a very high tone English. They become very happy that he's talking about rhymes. He knows 100 rhymes, but unfortunately, these things are very short-lived. So that is why talking to a child, having just a family time of, start with 20 minutes, it is possible. It's not impossible. Start with 15 minutes, it is possible. So family interventions would be very important. Our society still is well knit. We have aunts, uncles still coming to our homes and dropping in. Maybe if many of us are fortunate, just talking to them. Stories, this definitely brings up these connections. These we can have, we have seen children where they have given time, these parents where they have given time to these children. They are very communicative. They talk, they have ideas. While as we saw certain children coming from, say, Middle East, where there were only two parents, both were working, and this particular unfortunate child was always with his nanny and television in front of him. The moment he dropped in our working place, the first thing he was doing was tossing around. He threw objects, whatever. He saw things and he started working with it. He was very aggressive. And he was not talking. One is speech delay in these children. They hardly can talk. And the parents get very much concerned about it. This is how and once we have seen a reversal of this. Once some of these children came from Middle East and they were with the families, their grandparents, within about 5 to 6 months, there was a huge, humongous change in them. So interventions at early age can definitely affect it. That is why there's a control. We need to control it. We don't need to stop it, but we need to control it. And communication is the best thing which can happen. We have to have family interventions. Thank you.
Very interesting. He said many of our colleagues and friends who come from Middle East have children who are suffering. When they live here 2-3 years, believe me, everybody says, "Yetis has asmazi, yetikos bola jushwain theek, ladai tushun karan, jagdu tushun karan, beshu ginda asa." See, the point is, children should have children with them. Children should have play. If they have much better than this smartphone, and I'm sure there are things, the sporting activities, the togetherness, that is loosening up, and that is internet is intervening in their togetherness.
And the day when internet will rule us, that means we don't have this of our own. And that is the time the society is going to disintegrate.
Thank you. I think the neurologist and the pediatricians have put their ideas about how they can control it. So I have a psychiatrist waiting next to me who will further elaborate on it. Since Zafar Sahab has told some practical points that how to control it. See, I think when we were children, I think we were in such an era where parents used to drag us inside homes that you have played a lot and now come and study. But now it's the other way around. Or children are hooked to digital devices inside the rooms and parents force them to go out. And I think everybody among us have come to the consensus that we cannot do without internet, we cannot do without a digital platform, be it adults who might be running business with it for other purposes, for education purposes, even the children, the adolescent children who are into education can't do without it. But the two concerns what we had right now is, number one, the screen time, how much you are using, and what content you are watching on the phones. I think in today's era of artificial intelligence, you see whenever anybody searches something on the phone, invariably the internet catches up his mind, what is up in his mind, and then regulates it towards that point only. I think I still remember I had searched for a hearing aid for my dad 5 years back on my phone. Still, irrespective of my phone changing, still I'm getting an ad and a link about that hearing aid 5 years from now. So that's how the internet regulates us. They study our mind and then give us those content, that content which modulates and hooks you onto it. So what solutions we might put forward for that? Like Punjabi Sahab told, he had a self-restraint and he put a target of say 1 hour for usage of phone instead of the 5 hours he used to use it. This can be put on our phones as well, in our children's phones as well. We have apps which are available. First of all, once we get a phone, if you are exclusively using it for the child, you put your email in your Play Store. Don't put the parents' email. Create a children-specific email, put the right age, and I think that is the first point where you can regulate what the child can see, because it will be exclusively under parental control. Number one. Number two, there are apps which you can install in your children's phone, and then that app is directly regulated by the parents. They can regulate the screen time, how much hours they can use it per day, what content they should see on the phone. If by any chance the child goes into something which he is not supposed to see or which he is not supposed, you get an alarm in your phone that the child has tried to go to a site which he is not supposed to see. So I think these things need to be put down into the masses, educate among people, among the parents, at a school level, at the parents' level, where we can inform them how to regulate it at a ground level. Because it's at that point of time where we can control it. Because once a child is outside his adolescent age, then I don't think that control can be put forward.
Control of content, control of content. That is what we have been talking about. While I was just showing that the device itself.
Yes.
Control of content.
Correct.
I was talking about, like, so he was not using mobile phones, only while he's having a mobile phone. But I have everything on my internet, like whatever he watches, whatever he sees, I have a notification. So if internet is this problem, internet is also the solution. It is offering you everything. Like you have a smartphone in your hand, right? If I give the smartphone to any child, and I have the option in my smartphone that he can only use it for 30 minutes or 25 minutes. So that responsibility has to be taken by parents. They cannot shut it off and say, कि नहीं हमारा बच्चा मोबाइल फोन यूज कर रहा है, कंट्रोल लगा ही नहीं रहे, कंट्रोल आएगा। But when parents work hours together, what do you tell your child? They have to change.
Yes.
No, self-control can be put, like Punjabi Sahab has put. You can put it on you can put the app on your phone as well.
If I told her to do that, the child is tempted.
Parental addiction can be controlled rather than children's addiction.
Ji, Dr. Majid Sahab.
Yes. So we need to divide it for obviously legal purposes as well as for other things that. Yeah.
We are talking about kids.
there is unfortunately a large amount of population, about 6 million, falling prey to digital scams, online scams, social media scams, because they are addiction to social media. Most of it is due to Facebook, right? I, as a son, sat with my father and I told him that you go on different pages of politicians, actors, and you search those pages. I see you have written, everyone has an opinion, right? Internet gives you the big, you have to drag it right to the. So my father used to go to Trump everywhere and write something. So I used to see it. So then I sat with him and I told him, everyone who sends you a friend request is not your friend. If 10 people are liking your comment on Facebook, does not mean that those 10 people are your friends. You need to be very careful. 25% increase last year in digital scams through social media. Anyone becomes a friend on social media, they get cozy and they share pictures, and then there is blackmailing which happens, unfortunately. So as youngsters, we know that what are the pros and cons of internet. We have to make sure that we sit with our parents, elderly people in our family, and tell them how to use internet, what is good for them, what is bad for them also.
Alternate ways of entertainment are because easy, and it has to be available. Other ways of entertainment. I believe house, everyone has to devise his own way of entertaining others. For elderly, for middle-aged, that's very important. And again, I am coming back to unless we live together like older times, together, as Nazi says, then only you can evolve. Not just one or two persons, it can't regulate. It's very simple.
See, I can tell you, his family has broken into it.
I think it's much better in Kashmir. It's much better in Kashmir. I know. I get a patient, it's not that. Actually, one patient get delivered alone without any attendant. Elderly.
That's a positive way.
It's a very positive thing. You don't know the values in Kashmir still are huge. Families are huge. Families
Also, a lot of children have left their parents. It's also happening in Kashmir.
You have to see to it that
They don't stay
we
with them.
become attractive for them back. We become attractive for our children back. Tell them we are much better than where you are living abroad everywhere. We love you more than the people who love you there. You will earn reasonably enough at your place. And the only people, it's great to be amongst your own people. That should be the theme. It's great for children to be amongst their own people. They have lost, after 30, 40 years, they're lost.
It's a good thought, but
Meos relation say in Kuwait ya Oman. Trihur go tour. Khoon kodwas trahan vedian. Everything. He was everything. But Suzuk Budit wapas. This is worse than any. And we praise our countries a lot. We are enamored by them. I don't know. This has to be told to children. Unless we talk about it, we don't talk. It's the question. I should dialogue khatam.
yes.
I should come sirf material dialogue. Katkan baniyo bird mohini. I should come. We have become worse capitalists. On this. I score American system. Timchi wapas gasata. I shouldn't sit kathi kara about proper living. We should want good in no, makanun tha no. We shouldn't kathi kara. This whole thing is a multiple.
How important the familial interaction, Professor Sahab talked about, you are talking about. Familial interaction is very important.
This is how humans have evolved. I scored it meant family. Bakai gai sari khatam. Neanderthals gai khatam. Sari animals gai khatam. Humans have gai family city. That is the Baker control search world.
It's fairly taken. But as I put it earlier, that this is a problem of mass regulation. And here, our stake would be, I'm sorry to say, totally unless we tackle it on a mass level. You see, we need to go digital in order to combat this digital interaction. That is, for example, Dr. Navi, during COVID time, we used to see student handles every hour there would be a course. But post-COVID, because of this professional compulsion, it's virtually dried up. We went far between saying this quote of Parvez course, another Parvez on this one review. Dr. Tariq usually comes up almost on a daily or alternate basis, posing a medical problem and answering it himself. We need to fill these spaces. Unfortunately, our digital spaces have been taken up by orthodoxy. I don't mean orthodoxy, religious orthodoxy only. It's political orthodoxy, there's cultural orthodoxy, orthodoxy even within the families. Right? We need to occupy spaces in the digital setup, all of us. For example, ophthalmology is contributing to the mass media, whatever he says here, or on the Facebook, on the Twitter handles. So it has to, we have to educate masses about it. And even if it means interacting with ulmas who communicate on a mass level with the people, that would also be welcome. We need to involve masses. While that is good, and WhatsApp can contribute a lot since he has many these tutorial centers are tied up with his organization. Those teachers could be called up sometimes, and so that they can interact in classrooms with the kids and tell them the beneficial effects as well as the side effects or the harmful effects. So WhatsApp could be a big help. All of us contribute to the mass media, going on to the Facebook and combating, occupying those digital spaces in order to combat it on wider level. While I do consider familial interaction to be very, very important, very important. But as I told you, it has to be tackled on the mass level. We need to go digital in order to combat the digital addiction. Especially the medical profession, in the education sphere, the social spheres as they are called, they need to combat it, digital addiction, digitally. That's the antidote.
No, there is no denial to that. Important thing is, today when you have experts speaking about it, it lends some authenticity, whatever you will put on social media. You as an individual, if you say, don't use this, it has negative effect. You are an individual. People may accept your word or not. Question is that how do you put authority behind it? How you put an expert's opinion behind it? That gives some credibility that what is being stated is correct. The psychiatrist has said so, the child specialist said so, the neurologist has said so. What I am talking of is the purpose of possibly all this is to inform the masses. Of course, there is no two opinions on that. Strategies are whether to go to the schools and the universities and educate people and all. What is important, which is coming out, is that number one, the devices can be controlled. To me, it looks extremely important step out. Extremely important. If you reduce the time and you reduce the content, there is no problem. What's your problem otherwise? You have none. When you reduce the time, screening time, the child will have no other option but he is pushed out of his home to play. If you reduce the content, so you safeguard his values and moral which he has acquired from his family, whether living in a nuclear family or a joint family. We don't have that problem. We are discussing issues since in the absence of those technical methods, as our friend rightly put it, in the absence of those, it has become free for all. Therefore, the next.
Tele wana sari yakjabit gasta parta kamras mas. Asun su kamar mazai nera. Tuju ka what reversal. Our grand gas to para zukmyani katha boza. Zukmyani katha boza. Nowadays they don't come to the group.
then what I meant to say that we have to tackle this problem at the micro as well as at the macro.
Micro शुभाषा में ज़्यादा ज़रूरी. It's more
actually
important.
because
Small
it
family.
is
Your home. It starts in home. It starts in home.
Guide aside.
It starts in home. That's very important. It starts with me, my children,
150
my
crore
friends,
population in India, it is in 150 crore. Who is a person without a mobile?
It has to be started.
80 crore, 90 crores are mobile. That is the statistical detail. 80 crore have mobile phones in India.
All will have. All will have.
Now, out of 150 crore, as
80.
last investigations done showed 80 to 90 crore people. Now it has cost 1 billion. So they should accept that. So it is accessible every home. So what you said, if it gets into that 1 billion, it might have an impact. But then it has to come from experts, not Tom, Dick and Harry. Because they will structure it, they will exactly know how to approach his mind. It is what does the internet do? It manipulates your mind. That's what, in short, I could understand from Dr. Razdan. It manipulates you. Changes mean it manipulates you in this sense. It doesn't give you time to think. If I have to buy a toothpaste, internet tells me buy Colgate. I don't have to think which one I buy. This is bombarded in my mind. So automatically when I go to a shopkeeper, kindly give me Colgate. Where from this Colgate comes? This is called manipulation of mind. This is politically also done anyway. That apart.
Nasir, other thing
Somebody
you
else
should
thinks for
do
you.
is that lot of notifications, they could be eliminated. Otherwise, you are all the eyes good.
What I have done in my phone.
You could tell them how to do that.
What I have done in my phone. I have erased every notification on my phone.
Good.
Right? Since I am from a profession where I do a lot of content on social media, so there are a lot of notifications which I get. So my notifications are completely off. I am not in an anxiety to check my phone for notifications every month.
That's why I missed the first session.
So yes, that is what I missed the first session. I'm sorry for that. So that is what we can do.
Yeah.
And
It's a lot of doable things. Lot of doable things.
I would share an incident here. In COVID times, it was a time when I left my job. I was doing my job, my studio was off, so I was working from home. So I had made a studio at my home. So we used to do everything from home. Then I realized at one point of time, my screen time was 16 hours. I was throughout glued to mobile phone, making content, uploading that, talking to doctors. I used to pester Dr. Naveed every second day. What are we talking today? How are we going to say that? So then I realized that no, this is something which I need to take a break from. And abruptly, I resigned from the job. I said, I don't want to do it. It's ruining me. So the second thing I did was to switch off every notification from my phone. And it does help. You have brightness in your phone. आपके फ़ोन में अगर आप इसको black and white रखेंगे अपने फ़ोन को, उसके brightness अगर आपके फ़ोन की कम हो जाएंगे, आपकी notifications बंद हो जाएंगी, you will notice that you will use your phone slightly lesser. Yes.
Jawal sir, I have heard it before, and I used to read you previously, but since you are not writing anymore. Regarding this post-truth world, the core of post-truth world are rhetoric and orthodoxy actually. We have moved from postmodern to post-truth world, so it is rhetoric and orthodoxy, and we know that it is at political level and it is obviously at the other levels as well. So that is going to stay for some time because we are in the post-truth world. We have done a lot of discussions, some of them concrete, some of them abstract. But for the common masses, there has to be something concrete. For example, whether to give any screen time to a kid less than 3 years or not. So such guidelines have to come from obviously medical experts and educational departments. So for in case of pediatric population, we should have certain guidelines formulated. We should come from say psychiatry, neurology, and pediatrics per se. Like American Psychiatric Association has already their guidelines issued regarding the internet consumption 10 years back, and I find them useful. And they mention that there should be zero screen time for a kid less than 2 years of age. And for somebody who is from 2 to 5 years of age, it has to be less than 1 hour. So we should come with something similar for J&K from our experts one. Or अगर राजदान सर और कैसर सर मतलब सभी इनको जानते हैं यहाँ पे, if somebody comes from their mouth, you know, obviously it will have an impact in the society, and there will be mothers who will be willing to listen to them. ठीक, there is no neurology patient जो राजदान साहब ने नहीं देखा होगा. There is no pediatrician. Even I have been treated by Dr. Kaiser in my toddler age. Yes, exactly. So अगर इनके through कुछ आता है, so obviously it will have an impact, and it will have a substantial impact about the mothers, even stay-home mothers. So this is about, and then in case of children, we should have some legislation as well. There's a need of our. There has to be legislation like POXO. Sir would bear me out. It had an impact about the child sexual abuse thing, and now everybody is hyper about it. You know, if a child sexual abuse comes to an SHO, he becomes hyper. He has to be on it. Otherwise, the court ka danda hoga. Because the legislations have to be there for pediatric age group. And in case of adults, obviously legislations are not. We have to be self-regulating, and people like me who are parents to young kids, we need to restrict our, there should be self-regulation, whether in terms of making phones black and white, making them less fancy, and making our dinners phone-free times or whatever. And when we go back home from the work, there should be some time, as Dr. Kaiser suggested, that we should be spending with the children. So in case of children, we should have guidelines from the education department for the children of school age group, and we should have medical guidelines from the medical experts, and we need a legislation for the children as well. For adults, there has to be some recommendations again from the medical fraternity, like for example, if you have a sedentary lifestyle, you need to stick to 1200 kilocalorie diet. If you are a very heavy worker, you can take 2400 kilocalories. So there has to be something concrete. If you are doing this, you are, for example, for an adult, there should be something like that. Screen time should be less than 6 hours per 24 hours. It should again come. The things have to be that. Like that. And so जैसे इन्होंने बोला भी, सर ने भी, I have a lot of kids from Gulf with virtual autism, and once they move here, and they have substantial improvements. One, and it is all because of lack of social interactions there, lack of language of their parents, जो जिसमें वो communicate नहीं कर पाते. Their nanny, who is from Philippines, who speaks mostly in English and a bit of broken Arabic. Even one of my nephews had similar issues. So it is going to have deleterious consequences for the young population. We need to save them from this. For adults, yes, it is self-regulation, and there is a strong correlation between violent crimes by young adults and children and exposure to pornography per se, excessive pornography, and so the need of legislation it has to be there, and there is a strong correlation between oppositional behavior by kids and exposure to the internet. And there are so many studies. So the concrete has to be. There's a need of guideline, one for children and adults. There's a need of legislation for children. So that's my take on it.
Which all religions value, there's a common ground. Let's not get into that. Please don't worry. What I mean by orthodoxy is an established view, which is had from times immemorial, and they are being propagated, and they have already got time now. The rates of time. But the orthodox forces, cultural forces, the religious, whatever, they are making use of this digital space, to propagate views which currently already got time. So I was pleading for occupying these spaces, but forced it to other view of the situation, but she's viewing the situation from various aspects. And you as professionals, an ophthalmologist giving his view on how to treat the eye or pulmonologist how to treat the lungs, or musculoskeletal system as Dr. Tulku, increase in the greater dose. I was reading those cases to be occupied by the social welfare center that's health and education, two prime social welfare sectors. That was my theme. Don't need too much into it.
How many mobile smartphones are in I'm studying that on Indian schools and colleges say that 46.9% of smartphones have some sort of musculoskeletal problems. 46.9%.
Almost 50 crores.
It's almost every product is most of these.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल वही सी
Although I'm supposed to speak about the effects of digital abuse on eyes, but before doing that, why do we use, all of us, mobile phones? Not to get information all the time, but to gain pleasure. I post a picture of mine sitting on a beach and I get likes. Good, great. This is all what I'm doing to just gain pleasure. Similarly, why do these children, why do they use mobile phone? They don't want to gain information out of it, just to gain the pleasure. Imagine a small child, he goes to the school in the morning with a big bag. Whole day he's bored there with studies, no other activities. Comes back, he goes another way. Now he has to go, he has to read, do his homework, goes to tuition. By the time he's back, he needs some pleasure, so he takes up the phone. After that, he goes out to sleep. Now, if we distract these children out of this phone, give them pleasure in some other way. How did we get pleasure in our childhood? By playing sports. I would come to this club at 4:15, change and play lawn tennis for 2 hours. It would give me pleasure, exercise. I would win my game. I would go home, study. I didn't need a mobile phone. So what do? How do we give these kids all these things? If a child plays at home, the mother says, don't break a window pane, don't make the lawn dirty, don't pluck out the flowers. Where is he going to play? We have limited public spaces. How many swimming pools do we have here? Very few. Few schools have it. There is no public pool. So where does a child go if he wants to learn how to swim? He doesn't have a place. I was in Bombay. What I saw in certain areas, there are huge buildings. What does the resident societies have done? They have made it every child from 4 or 5 onwards, he takes up a hobby. Somebody learns how to dance, somebody how to sing, somebody how to play badminton, tennis. So that keeps them occupied by the time they come home after all these activities.
Sorry to interrupt you, Harshit. See, there are so many people who go for these pleasures, as you rightly said, taking a walk, a leisurely walk, a run, a swim. But there are so many people who go for the run, who go for the swim, but they want a snapshot. They want a picture. They really don't enjoy the real sense.
See, we are talking of a 5-year-old kid, 6-year-old kid. When they are distracted, in Bombay, every kid, he comes back from school, he goes to some activity in the evening. Some play games, but here we can't do that because we don't have a well-knit society. Today, we don't know who is living across your wall, how many children does he have, what do they do, we have no knowledge. So what I would recommend, we have to find ways by which we have to involve schools, we have to involve the community, have small places within each society, each area where children can go. We don't need huge areas to play cricket, football. They can learn small games. If we do it and keep a child distracted for 2-3 hours after school, by the time he'll come home, he'll be physically tired, he'll go off to sleep. He will use mobile, but not as much because he will not get enough time to do it. So the government has to be approached. each area has to be given some space, some public space, common space, a small hall where even they can play some indoor games. Doesn't mean that you can play outdoor games. So if we do that, the government, the school, see, most of the school playgrounds are vacant after 4 o'clock. They are not being used for any other. Why the schools can't allow the local community children to come into the schools after 4 o'clock, use the facilities, use the ground. They don't need to provide just the ground. So distracting them, I think if we do that, if we try that, it might help to some extent. I can't say fully. Similarly, the elderly group, we say we are addicted. Yes, my father, my grandfather, they don't know what to do in the whole day. You see, they are retired. What do they do? Sit at home? What do they do? If you have spaces within the community where they can go, they can meet, interact in that age group. I was in Goa recently. They have this, I won't call it an old age home, but it is a home for the elderly. Their children are settled outside. They have purchased this, there is a properly fenced area where they have this 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartments meant for elderly who don't have children or who children have kept them there. I met some of them. They're very happy. They don't miss their children because they have people in the same age group. They spend time with them. They play, they go out, they swim. So they don't use the phone as much as they would have done otherwise. This is just the general part of it. Let Dr. Najib, then I'll talk about something about the eyes.
See, the question about education here, I really don't know. It's become so monotonous. The education is really monotonous, I can tell you. It's confined to scoring good marks, 99%, 99%. But are we making a future of our children? See, I'm seeing young children with growing back pains and neck pains. Why? Because they are burdened with so many books. And nobody speaks about them. See, to cover that area, they have a soft option, that's the net, which gives them everything. So we have to make education more fun and more knowledgeable.
So before that, I would want to ask Fawaz Sahab a question, since he's from the education background. Fawaz Sahab, every year we hear that in government schools and in private schools there are counseling centers. Do you have any data with you that how many students come to these counseling centers? And are teachers encouraging enough to speak to those students? You know, when we were kids, and I have seen it myself, that teachers don't encourage this, a free speech to talk. Unfortunately, it is. आप मुझे बोलेंगे कि ऐसा नहीं है, लेकिन ऐसा ही है. बच्चे में भरोसा नहीं है कि वो टीचर को आके अपनी कोई बात बताए. Because he knows deep down in his heart कि अगले दिन वो सारे स्कूल को पता होगी. Unfortunately. Do we encourage such behavior in private schools? Good touch, bad touch. Do we encourage such behavior in private schools where a counseling center is made and a child will come to the teacher in confidentiality and will say कि ऐसा है, ऐसा है, ऐसा है.
नासिर साहब, सीधी सी बात है, I won't hide the facts. जफर साहब तकरीबन पिछले 3 सालों से यही बात कह रहे हैं कि डू यू हैव काउंसलर्स हु कैन रीड द माइंड ऑफ ए चाइल्ड, गाइड ए चाइल्ड. ये तो लगातार जो है वो जफर साहब कहते रहे. लेकिन
उनको वो बेचना होता, they would like to just take a bite of the doctor's office.
So if you correctly remember, जब कोविड की सिचुएशन हो गई उसके बाद हमने, मुझे लगता है जफर शाह साहब के साथ भी मीटिंग हुई थी, अब्रप्टली हमने सारे स्कूलों में मोबाइल बैन किए. आपने भी कितनी स्टोरियां की कि मोबाइल तोड़े जा रहे हैं, लोगों ने हंगामा भी किया. बट वी मेड इट अ पॉइंट कि नहीं, मोबाइल अलाउ नहीं करने कम्फर्ट में. बट यू नो द प्रॉब्लम, उसके बाद जो सेक्रेटरी एजुकेशन के साथ हमारी मीटिंग हुई, उसने बताया कि क्यों पंगा लेते हो, पेरेंट्स का मामला, ये चाहते हैं थोड़ा इस पर सॉफ्ट हो जाओ, यानी मोबाइल अलाउ कर लीजिए, इस पर इनके मोबाइल मत तोड़िए. बट वी टुक ए स्टैंड कि ब्रेक करने. जैसे अभी डॉक्टर तारिक साहब कह रहे थे कि ये बड़ा टेंजिबल है कि एक डॉक्टर साहब के पास एक बच्चा आ गया, मेरी गर्दन में दर्द है, आपको पता चला मोबाइल की वजह से। बट देयर इज एन इनटेंजिबल थिंग जो कोई एसेस नहीं कर पाता, दैट इज द थिंकिंग पैटर्न। देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ डैमेज हैज बीन डन टू थिंकिंग पैटर्न। मसलन हम इतने लोग हैं, अपने मोबाइल नंबर भी याद नहीं होंगे। फाउंडेशनल लिटरेसी ने न्यूमरेसी इट हैज गॉन डाउन। डिजिटल लिटरेसी से कोई फायदा बच्चों का नहीं है, क्योंकि एसर सर्वे अब आ चुकी है। हम अगर हवा में कहते हैं तो कहते हैं हवा में कह रहे हैं। एसर सर्वे साफ कह रही है कि देयर हैज बीन 5.8% डिप इन लर्निंग लेवल्स ऑल ओवर इंडिया। कश्मीर में तो ज्यादा ही है, यहाँ तो 10% लिटरेसी रेट ऑलरेडी डाउन हो चुकी है। आउट ऑफ स्कूल्स बच्चों की तादाद 15 से 20,000 हुआ करती थी। डॉक्टर साहब राइट नाउ इट्स मोर देन 1 लाख चिल्ड्रन आर आउट ऑफ स्कूल्स। इस डिजिटल मुसीबत की वजह से ये चूंकि टेंजिबल मामला आते हैं कि जो समझ में, देखिए 1/3 पॉपुलेशन इज इन स्कूल्स एंड एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशंस। जी हाँ, नहीं, जो आप काउंसलर्स की बात करें, फैक्चुअल पोजीशन ये है कि वी डोंट हैव काउंसलर्स इन 95% schools. This is a fact. This is a fact. Qualified teachers we don't have. You see, so whatever we claim, देखिए मैं आपको बताऊं, ये सिंपल सी बात है। स्कूल का फिर भी कहने कोई एक एस्पेक्ट है, गाइडलाइंस कुछ हैं। इसके साथ कोचिंग का मामला है, कोचिंग में कोई गाइडलाइन नहीं है क्योंकि सिंपल बिजनेस है। अब देखिए सिंपल सी बात है, सरकार को करना क्या है। बहुत सारी ऐप्स हमारी जो है, बहुत सारी ऐप्स जो है, ये कोई इस पर नहीं सोचता है। ये सिंपल सी बात है, ऐप बनानी है एजुकेशनल, व्हाई शुड इट बी मोबाइल कंपैटिबल? व्हाई नॉट ओनली एलईडी और आई फ्रेंडली स्क्रीन्स और डेस्कटॉप कंपैटिबल? कुछ स्टेट्स में अलाउ नहीं करते हैं, दे डोंट अलाउ मोबाइल फ्रेंडली कोई भी ऐप डाउनलोड नहीं करने देते हैं। लेकिन यहाँ मुसीबत यह है कि इस छोटे स्क्रीन से प्रॉब्लम हो रही है।
My child has a mobile addiction, and he does not want to speak to me about it. He wants to speak to the counselor in school.
You see that at all? We don't have trained counselors. We don't have trained teachers. इसी वजह से मैं कह रहा हूँ कि इस पे बात इस वजह से नहीं हो रही है कि इस इशू पे कोई सोचने के लिए तैयार ही नहीं है। ये एक ऐसी वबा है, एक ऐसी मुसीबत है। मसलन सिंपल सी बात है, सरकार को एक गाइडलाइन इशू करनी है कि नो प्रोग्राम, no app will be mobile compatible. It will be simply desktop compatible or smart board compatible or desktop compatible. आसान है, मसला ही हल हो जाएगा। अदरवाइज मुझे बताइए, आमतौर पर ऑनलाइन टीचिंग का मामला है, क्योंकि हम डाटा हमेशा रखते हैं, इस पे काम करते हैं। जितने लोगों ने टॉप किया एग्जाम्स में, एक का भी इंटरव्यू बताए जिसने कहा होगा कि मैं सोशल मीडिया यूज करता था। फर्स्ट चीज इंटरव्यू में कहता है कि मैं सोशल मीडिया पे नहीं, उसको यूज नहीं करता। हाँ, अच्छा, रिसेंटली हमारे सलीम खान हु इज अ वंडर बॉय, आल्सो रेफर्ड एज जूनियर अबुल कलाम ऑफ इंडिया, वो यहाँ कश्मीर आया था एक स्कूल के प्रोग्राम में। मैंने उससे बात की, पहली बात उसकी यही थी कि मैं मोबाइल यूज नहीं करता। हमारा एक तरफ से हमारे जहन में कॉन्फ्लिक्ट है। वी थिंक दैट दिस इज हेल्पिंग एजुकेशन, दिस इज नॉट, बिकॉज FLN फाउंडेशन लिटरेसी न्यूमरेसी has a dip. It is touching as low कि गवर्नमेंट भी कह रही है कि now we should start FLN in government schools. जब ये मालूम है कि एजुकेशन वाइज इसका कोई फायदा नहीं है, why not we straightway put a pressure on government, make an advocacy that at least ban all educational programs which are mobile friendly. अब मैं आपको एक हकीकी बात बताऊं जो नॉर्मली कोई कहना नहीं चाहेगा। सवाल यह है कि एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस में देयर आर बॉडीज, NCERTs, देयर अदर इंस्टीट्यूशंस देयर व्हिच डू रिसर्च, बट कोचिंग सिंपल एक बिजनेस है। अब स्कूल वाला सोचता है कि कोचिंग वाले ने ये प्रोग्राम आज बच्चों के लिए लॉन्च किया, अगर मैं इसको स्कूल में लॉन्च न करूंगा, माय कस्टमर बेस विल गो टू कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स। यू सी, आपके पास दो सिस्टम है, कोचिंग भी, एजुकेशन भी। एज लॉन्ग एज टू सिस्टम्स आर देयर, थिंग्स विल नेवर इंप्रूव। इट हैज टू बी ईदर कोचिंग और स्कूलिंग, बिकॉज स्कूल वाला समझ रहा है कि चलिए अगर मैंने ये ऐप इंट्रोड्यूस नहीं किया स्कूल में, चिल्ड्रन विल शिफ्ट टू कोचिंग सेंटर्स, दे विल गो ऑनलाइन। वो क्या करते हैं, वो पहले ही इन चीजों को अपने स्कूलों में बच्चों के लिए आम कर देते हैं। दीज आर फैक्ट्स। जी,
How can we make it possible that there are counseling centers in schools where kids will come and discuss their issues, discuss their problems under one umbrella. And I'm not talking about internet education.
one minute. Give me the mic for me. Take this. ये president का mic लेंगे. आ जाओ. Please total silence. ना ना. सभी आ जाओ.